Welcome to another interesting episode of Space and Style. It's a television show designed to provide realistic solutions for all your real estate needs by providing you with trends, tips, and also engaging experts to discuss topical issues affecting the industry. My name is Olamide Onifade, and on the show today we are going to be discussing perfection of title. I probably think a lot of people don't know what that is, but that's why we have an expert here who's going to take us through the journey. We are going to also share some interior design tips to keep you abreast of various trends in the interior design space. And on the Property of the Week segment, we will showcase a property that we hope to inspire you to join the real estate ladder if you have not done so. And lastly, the artisan spot, where we'll be talking to an artisan to discuss his craftsmanship with us. So sit back and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Expert Insights, and I have Mrs. Priscilla Giwa in the studio with me to discuss perfection of title. Mrs. Priscilla Giwa is a seasoned real estate lawyer of over 20 years of practice. She is the principal partner of Pertinent & Co., a law firm whose core practice area is documentation of properties and also registration of properties. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Olamide, for inviting me. Hello, viewers.
How's your New Year been?
We thank God. It's been
Are you
good.
one of the people that have New Year resolutions?
Basically.
You do? You know what? I'm always having New Year resolution, but this year I purposely did not have one. So what I did was just to identify my lapses and work on it.
Okay, basically what I do is I write down the vision for the year and I run with it.
Well, I think that's fine. That's also fine. Yeah. So to start the topic, what is perfection of title? Because it's a bit technical. When I tell people, have you perfected your title, they don't understand what I'm talking about.
Basically, for a layman, it might be technical and cumbersome. But perfection as a whole is just the process you have to go through, especially if you're a landowner in Lagos State or Nigeria or anywhere in particular. Perfection is simply the process of obtaining the governor's consent as regards ownership of land, registering it at the Land Bureau, like in Lagos State now.
When people buy property, they just go to sleep.
Wow.
They feel, once I buy my property, I'm the owner, they get their title deeds, and that's the end of it. So how pertinent is perfection of title? Why must you register your property?
That question is very important because I ask people that why would you want to invest your money and not secure it? Because perfection is basically proof of ownership. It's just like going to buy something and you don't have a receipt and you want to go, you need to return it, or you want to make an investment on it and there's nothing to lay your foundation on. So basically, even to pass down the title, pass down ownership, you need to register it in your name, and that is basically what perfection is all about.
So what are the processes? What does it involve?
Basically, when you buy land from anybody, let's say for instance, like you buy land from somebody that has a subsistent title on the land, like a C of O, and you buy from such a person, you need to perfect. Perfection basically is there are certain documents you must actually get from the person that is selling to you. You must get, like, for example, your deed of assignments, you must process your survey plan, you must have basic documents to process your perfections. Some people will just go buy land, they obtain receipts. Receipt is not a document of title, it's evidence of purchase. So you need to be able to know the requisite documents you have to ask, especially in this time and age where you find different people naming claims to different kind of lands everywhere. So you need to be able to be abreast of what you need. Once you buy a property from somebody, there are basic documents you must request at the point of purchase.
Okay, because that's another topic for another day,
Yeah.
so I don't want to digress. So what are the documents that are important to take to the land registry for me to be able to, as a prospective buyer, or actually a buyer who wants to perfect her title? What are the documents?
Basically, once you buy a property, you are given certain documents. For example, you must have a deed of assignment, a sublease, or it could be assignment of whatever it is. For instance, in the Lagos State Lands Bureau, I'm going to use Lagos as a case study because we are in Lagos. As a matter of fact, you must get a copy of, for instance, you need 3 copies of your deed of assignment. You need what they call the Lagos State Form 1C, duly executed by both the assigner and the assignee. You need photographs of the property. You need to ask for the tax clearance of your assigner. That's the person selling to you. You must be able to produce this kind of documents. Survey plans in particular are also very important. If it's not a state land, you must have survey plans. Okay, you could want to ask, what is a survey plan? It shows the dimension and the size of the land you just bought. Those are the requisite documents you must have. The issue, 3 basic documents are important: your deed of assignment, your land form 1C, your survey plans.
So are you saying that form 1C is very important?
It's as important as your deed of assignment because it's a basic document that is required by the Lagos State Lands Bureau.
Okay, so if the person who sold the land to you does not sign the form 1C, what do you do?
You need to go back to him to sign it. You need to sign it because it's one of the documents you need. You cannot register. You cannot submit those documents without having a Lagos Land Form 1C if you are perfecting title.
So we're due for a short break. We'll be back, and we're going to discuss the financial implication of this because I know it is not free. So we're due for a break, and please stay with us.
Space and Style.
Welcome back, and in the studio with me, I still have Mrs. Priscilla Giwa, and we're still discussing perfection of title. So before we went on the short break, I was talking about the financial implication of it. So can you tell us the nitty-gritty? While I don't want you to scare people that the process is expensive, I also want you to be able to tell people the process so they are very ready when they decide to do this.
Okay. Basically, the issue of the financial aspect of perfection is based on the location of the property.
One. What do you mean? Why is that important?
It's not generally an expensive process, but basically because once you submit your documents, you expect what they call an assessment from the Lands Bureau, which will contain the breakdown of what is expected to be paid. Basically, it's usually 3% of the fair market value. That is what they base their assessment on. In that assessment, you have what they call the consent fee, the stamp duties, the capital gains tax, the registration fee, and maybe NIC or ground rent, which is based basically on the type of property, the consideration on the deed of assignment, and the location of the property. This is what they sum up to add to what your assessment is. You cannot compare yourself, somebody that has a beer land that is not being developed, and somebody that has like a 4-story building on the property to have the same assessment. So it's based on what you have on the land. A lot of people come to the Lands Bureau and say they bring all sort of pictures, they bring land while they have skyscrapers on the land. Whilst, how do you base such assessments? That is why most times they will ask you to go for inspections to be sure that you are not lying about the state of the property. Trust people to want to cut corners, cut short, cut money, or because they are scared about the total monies they are going to be paying to the government. But it's a process, you need to pay for it. You can't have a house in Surulere and compare your house in Banana Island to have the same assessment. It's quite expensive for if you, like, for instance, live in those kind of eyebrows, and the consideration can never be the same. A house in Mushin or Surulere can be like maybe 50 million, and Banana Island, we both know how much per square meter is.
Okay, so, but part of the issues that I know that we've both had is the issue of tax. You were talking about capital tax gain and all of it. People who are taxpayers in Lagos, if for example I buy a land and I want to register my land and I am a taxpayer, why do you have to do the assessment again for me to pay taxes again? This is double taxation. And these are part of the reasons why people don't want to register their land.
I think basically you need a tax expert, and Lagos State tax tax expert to come and explain the angle, because I, as a professional and somebody that runs jobs at the Lands Bureau, I've had issues with this assessment of tax, and till date I've not been able to fully understand the basis for some of these high taxations, because it's something that discourages a lot of clients from coming forward to want to do these things, because by the time you are being asked to come and pay maybe like 500,000, 1 million for both the assigner and the assignee, assigner that maybe you've bought this property for over 20 years, you didn't come forward to register as a den, and now you are being made to pay for both parties. I think it's something that the government needs to look at, so that they can encourage people to come forward to do this perfection process easily and more willingly.
The capital gains is supposed to be paid by the assigner.
What if you can't?
So who pays? So in a case, it's a recent purchase. So how do I make the assigner pay for it?
It's part of the documentations you must ask for. Once at the point of buying and executing documents, please kindly ask the assigner for their tax clearance. If not, you'll be made to pay it.
So you buy a property from Omunile, you're asking them for capital things.
Basically, we find out that most of this Omunile now has family offices. They are well structured now. Some of them are well structured. You can actually walk into any of them now and ask them for their tax clearance. Once they can verify that yes, this property belongs to them, they sold to you, they should be able to oblige you their tax clearance.
Okay, moving on quickly because of time. There's always an issue that even I run into sometimes. How do you determine that when you want to perfect your title, how do you determine what to apply for? Is it the government's consent or COO? How do you know what you're supposed to apply
Basically, to apply for consent, you must already have an existing title, which is a COO. It could be a land certificate, it could be a gazette. COOs are usually applied for on virgin lands that don't have titles already, maybe state land, government land. You go and apply for COO, which is different from when you're applying for perfection. It's actually not the same process, but the same thing we are talking about. Title.
Okay, so what you're saying is when you buy a virgin land that has not been occupied before.
That has not been registered.
That has not been registered before. So the first thing you have to do is to register for COO.
Yeah, that's a different process entirely, because you need to go to the government to do that. It's a government that you can ask like lawyers or anybody to help you process your COO, but basically it's the governor of the state that directly issues COO. Okay. So it's a different thing. You need to submit different documents when you are pursuing a COO from when you are doing a perfection of title.
Okay, so if you're applying for governor's consent, those are the documents you told us about. But when you're applying for governor's consent, you must have had your COO.
Yes, you must have had somebody that had the COO that sold to you the assigner. You must have registered and had a COO or any other title that was in existence before you can lay your foundation on the COO perfecting. Okay,
so another area is land title. There are different ones. You just mentioned land certificates, COO, and please can you explain?
No, basically
what's different?
Basically titles come in different forms, and when you're perfecting, depending on what you were given, some people could have COO, they could have a land certificate, it could be a sublease.
What's a land certificate? Land
certificate is basically Lagos State lands. It's also a title. They come in different names, like basically on what they hold and the statutory rights they have, So that's how you have them. All of them are good titles as long as they are okay to buy. You've done your searches and you're sure that this COO has not been revoked. These titles are okay. You don't need to regularize anything on it. You can actually look at those titles, search on them, and be able to buy. After then, you can do your perfection on them.
Okay, so the last question will be, why are people apathetic towards perfecting their title? And I also want you to please tell me briefly what the importance of it. I want to really drive it in. I know, of course, sorry to quote you. I know, of course, probably to take it from my angle. I know, of course, that when you go to court, if your land is not registered, you cannot use it in court of law. Then issue of priority. I also want you to discuss priority. If your land is not registered, what happens when it comes to issue of priority?
Basically, why people run away from registering their titles? Cost. The cost implication. Because a lot of people don't even know the cost implications. They just assume it's expensive, they cannot afford it. But I ask, why would you buy a land and you don't want to register it?
But you need to let them know why. What are the implications?
For your own interest. Because basically, for instance, government may come tomorrow and want to revoke that title or that particular area. How do you ask for compensation if you don't have title? How do you secure your interest in your property if you don't have title? It's very, very important to register your titles. For instance, that title could serve as a means to get a mortgage in a bank. Once it's registered, they know that, okay, this land belongs to you. It's ownership. It's proof that this land is mine. So why would you invest so much money and go put those documents somewhere and not want to register to show your name? Even for the purpose of passing down title to your children, to your generation,
is
very important that you must register these titles. Also, the way the lands borrow is quite cumbersome. A lot of people will be like, that the stress is too much. You can't go through the government's offices. They are stressed to perfect is this. But it's not usually like that. You as an individual, you might not even need the services of a lawyer. You can walk into the lands bureau.
But we know that's very unrealistic.
You can walk in there. You don't have to. You can walk in there and as long as you have your documents, submit them and your processing will go through. It might be cumbersome. It might take time.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Mrs. Priscilla Giwa. We have come to the end of this segment and we are really thankful that you came on the show. Next is the design tip of the week. Hello and welcome to the segment. On this segment, we talk about interior decor tips. Today, I have Miss Edna. I actually call her Miss Edna. So Edna is the creative director of Mind Spaces, and I love her work. You know, whenever I go on Instagram to see her work, it's always beautifully done. So she's going to be taking us on a journey of how to decorate a blank wall. So, Edna,
thank you very much for having me on the show, and I'm really grateful. And I hope I'm able to impact and, you know, change the mindset of people when it comes to their space. So we're talking about how to decorate or style your wall. I get these questions all the time. People are always scared, you know, to design their wall. They just feel like, oh, it's so expensive.
I was going to say,
yeah,
interior decoration, people have the opinion that it is very expensive to obtain the services of interior decorators.
Yeah, I'm not actually going to dispute that. It can be expensive, but also there are some affordable ideas, there are some affordable things you can add to your wall to make it pop. When it comes to considering what to use on your wall, yes, there are other things you need to consider, like the space, the purpose, the function, the reason why you want to do this space, you know, the fonts, there are even sizes, all these things you need to put into consideration while picking something for your wall. So like if it's a living room, the first thing I do when I come into a living room is a TV unit, because it's a living space and maybe you have family, maybe you don't, but the TV area is one area that everybody wants to look out for when you come into a space. So those are the first. And even a TV set is also something that you can put into your space, your wall, to make it really nice. So even floating shelf. Yes, the quality is very essential. Everything has to be on point. If not, you're not going to see the effects. It's not going to make the aesthetics right.
So let's narrow down to a living room. Okay. On the side of you just mentioned the TV area.
Yes.
What do you think you can put on a living area to make it pop?
Okay, there's also floating shelf. You can have like a floating shelf. I also mentioned a picture frame. I also mentioned
picture frame on the TV area. Don't you think it will be too much?
When it's done properly. Okay. When it's done properly, you can even have like a small picture frame on the TV area. Even accessorizing, you need to accessorize to make it really nice.
The last question is, if there's a sofa and you want to decorate the behind of the sofa, is the color important? The color of the sofa is important, or you can just go wild with it?
The color is very important. The color is very essential. It's with the color of the sofa that's going to guide you as to the color of pieces that you want to get. Also the size of the sofa. Like if I have a very big sofa, it's also going to help me in choosing what I want to use for my wall. So there are a lot of things to consider. Other than the sofa, even the rug, your rug, you also need to consider the
It has to
color.
blend with
Everything
what you're
has to
using.
blend. Everything needs to speak together. So all these things are essential. And you also need to get something that is also appealing to you. You don't just go online and see something that is nice and you just, if you don't like it, because your space has to be something that you walk up to every day, or you wake up to every day and you're happy. Not waking up to something that you probably just saw it somewhere, you just feel like, oh, it's going to work. No, it has to be about you.
So your personal preference. Do you like wall arts or pictures?
I like everything.
Or mirrors? What about mirrors?
Yeah, mirror is also a very nice and wonderful thing to add to your space. It creates this
But it
illusion
can
of a
get
bigger
very
space.
expensive.
That is it.
The
So
decorative mirrors can get very expensive.
yeah, so that's why I said your budget. Your budget is very important. How much are you willing to spend? Like if you're going on a very low budget, there are options, there are picture frames, there are wallpaper, there are painting. But if you really want to go like over the board, you want to do something that is glam, then you can start talking about like a statement mirror, then a big artwork too.
I've also seen recently people having lightens on the
Yes,
walls.
scones.
Oh, is that what
Yes,
called?
yes.
Okay,
So
yeah.
those are
It's
also
also
things.
also
Yeah, they are
also
expensive.
beautiful.
Yeah, they are beautiful and they also can be pricey. So it has to do,
Okay. Is
yeah.
there any difference from my lighting being on the elevated part of the ceiling
And then
or
on the
that part
wall.
of the wall?
Yes, there's a difference. It gives this effect, especially even with the color of bulb. All those
Yeah,
things
I
to
would
add
have
to
thought,
it.
I would have thought that it doesn't matter where I place the bulb. Sorry, the lighting. So you're saying you could get expensive. So it's different. The wall.
Yes, it's different.
Thank
Even
you
with the
very
bulb,
much.
other than the scones, that is the outer part of the light, the lightning itself, that's the color of the light itself, also matters. So all these things you need to put into consideration, and those are things that bring out the aesthetics of the space.
Thank you very much,
Thank you for
Edna,
having
for sparing
me.
your time, and I hope you come again.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Space and style.
On the artisan spot today, we are going to be talking to an artisan to discuss his craftsmanship with us.
I make this chair I'm sitting on. So it's made by wood. Mainly we get these materials in Mushin, Ladipo Road. My experience in this job for like 18 years. I mean, 18 years experience in this job. I learned this job for 4 good years, solid years, 4 good years. I'm interested in it, in learning this job. When I was 18 years, I was interested in it. I went to secondary school. After finishing my secondary school, I developed more interest in this. I started at point 18 years old. So from 18 years to date, so I have 3 staff. Mainly the customers who come to my place, they pick up the design they want. So when they come with their pictures, so I have to give them what they want exactly. I get enough customers because it's mainly a sawmill. People that comes to buy raw wood, they will see a finished product. They will say, man, this wood is fine. Let me patronize this guy. So from that, I gain a lot of customers. So I'm interested in the jobs. I have to stay in here. Nigerian products, it's more quality and okay. But the abroad one, they have more machines than we Nigerians. That's more quality than us. But we guys are still trying because they still take our wood from here down to place to make it more finished over there than bringing it down to Nigeria. So we are still trying. So we don't have enough machine to work with them like them over abroad. But where we have here, we're still trying our best. Yes, man, I make a lot of money. So I'm registered. I registered my company. In this business, this wood furniture business, is a wide business. Those that craft wood with it, they are in this business. Those that make furniture with it, those that does this chair with furniture, that is this business. So it's a wide furniture business. So you can easily do anything with wood. So those are young people, young privileged that are still coming up. It's an interesting business that people can easily invest their money in and they'll get their money. When you bring job to me, I'll call it, I'll say I'm ready to do it. Another person will come, I won't tell the person that I'm not chanced. I'll collect that as well. That I'm making 2. Another third person will come, I'll collect again. So I'm piling to 3. I'm going to give them the same, the dates will be different too, but there's no how I have to meet up. That's mean disappointment, but still, yeah, I'm still going to deliver for them. Mainly, I can't say the challenges is logistics, but logistics is okay, yeah. Challenges is just the rain, just the weather, sir, weather. Because there's not enough space placed. I think it's a well-capped place, or a sheltered place to be okay for us to work. Then, no, come rain comes, come shine, everything will still be okay, we'll still be working. But when it starts raining now, we have to take our things in. We have to wait till the rain goes before we start doing our job.
Space and style.
We have come to the end of the show this week, and I hope you have enjoyed yourself and learned a lot about perfection of title. Join us next week for another interesting edition of Space and Style at the same time on the same channel. Bye for now.